Hey folks, Nas here, coming at you with a update video for Medieval Dynasty. So a couple of weeks back on July 28th, the devs over there for Medieval Dynasty and Toplits and RenderCube posted this news update about the 1.0 release date and new price announcement. So if you haven't heard, Medieval Dynasty is going to be going to full release, which is the 1.0 update, on the 23rd of September of this year. So we will be moving out of early access and into full release. So they've got a huge update, it looks like, planned for this full release of Medieval Dynasty. Let's see, we'll give you more info about what's coming soon. But our work will not stop there. Once Medieval Dynasty 1.0 is released, we will publish a new roadmap with post-released content and support that you can expect to be added. And then, of course, they've given us some pictures of things that are going to be introduced into the game. So Herbalism looks like it's going to be a thing. There's going to be new plants added to the game as well. You can see here some of the plants on this little table and chest here. You can see one up on the shelf right here. You can see some of the little potions and things on the shelves. Almost every one of them looks a little bit different. So you can see this one right here is a round, and that's a round jar, two different colors, obviously two different purposes. And then, of course, these little jars here are more square. It looks like there's several of those. There's one right behind his head here that looks like it's white, and then you got a blue one. This one looks like it might be green behind the plant, and then these bottom two down here are red. So obviously those are going to be doing something different as well. With the new workstation that he's at here, I'm assuming that we're going to be getting a new building, or possibly added. The workstation may be added to a building. I don't know whether it's going to be a separate building or not. If somebody does have that information, that inside information, please leave it in the comments below. Also, they've been talking about it for a while now, introducing bandits into the game. So as you can see here, we got a couple of bandits sitting around their little campfire. They've got their camp beds here, and of course they got a barrel with some storage or something in it. There's a crossbow right behind this gentleman here. There's an axe leaning up against the barrel, and he apparently has a new weapon that we haven't seen in the game. I don't know whether they're adding new weapons or not. They have mentioned using a cudgel, which is just a melee blunt weapon. Now this actually looks more like a mace to me, so it's almost like a bat cut off, and then it looks like it's got barbed wire wrapped around the end of it. We don't have anything like this in the game currently, so I'm curious to see if we're going to be getting new weapons in the game. And then also the fact that he's carrying a melee weapon, I have brought up the concern about the melee mechanic in the game. I brought it up a few different times over the past year that the melee mechanic is lacking. So I'm hoping that they are not necessarily reworking it, but I hope that they're improving it, because otherwise melee with anything, whether it's animals or bandits, is just very awkward. Now granted, you do still have your spears and your bow and arrows that you can use as well. There's even throwing rocks in the game, so you could probably throw a rock at them. So hopefully they do something with the melee mechanic. They've also talked about increasing the price. Now they were running a special, a 20% discount, but that ended August 9th. So it's already August 12th now. So the 20% discount is gone, but the price hasn't actually gone up, the base price. So it's going to be going up. It appears to be going up about $5 US, because right now it's currently $29.99 on Steam. And for the US, it's going to be going up to $34.99. So you have until August 15th of this year to still buy the game at the $29.99 price before it goes up to the $34.99 for the US dollars. Now, they obviously have it here for different currencies. And if that is your currency, then obviously that's what you're going to be looking at. Let's see, what else? We're going to be looking forward to finally bringing the 1.0 version to you all soon. Can't wait to share with you what we have in store. Stay tuned as news about that in the coming weeks. So that being said, they have put out another update just a couple of days ago. And let me switch over and get to that. So as you can see here on August 9th, they had posted another news update about this 1.0 release. A quick glance of what's coming soon to Medieval Dynasty, Bandits, Herbalism, and some curious new buildings. So we can still see the gentleman here in what appears to be the Herbalism hut or shed or building at his little workstation, working to make potions out of the different flowers and things that are being added to the game. You also have these new buildings. So leaders, there are new buildings coming to your village as well. So you can see it right up here. This is the text I'm reading up here. Now, we don't want to spoil all the fun in one post, so what we will do is show you some screens of the new buildings, but we won't say what their purpose is. What are these buildings and what are they used for? Well, we'll leave that as a mystery for now. Alrighty, so we can see that this current building here looks like a mini kitchen. So just the kitchen portion of like the tavern. So you've got the different cooking stations and stuff. And that seems to be about it. At least that's all I can see in this photo. Let me, because I think I can get a better picture here. See if I can bring this into the screen right here. So can I increase the size of this? Yes, let's increase the size of this just a little bit. Try and get that centered for you. So we can kind of see, zoom in a little bit. So you can see this building here. They've got the fires burning in both the little cooking areas. You can see the cooking pot up here. She looks to be putting some type of bread object into the oven there. You can see a little sign on the edge of the building, it looks like. I believe that post is part of that building. But you can see a sign here. It looks like it's got a fish and maybe that might be an apple. Let's see if we can zoom in on that a little bit more. And then maybe that's the building itself. So that may give you an indication of what's going on there. I don't know. Let's see. Let's back out of that again. But yeah, that looks like this building. If you look at if you zoom in on that picture again, that does look like this building, the shape of it and everything. So there's the roof line and there's the open area, and then you got the walls here, the gable end off on the left side. So that looks to be a picture of this building. So maybe there's going to be limited items you can cook in there. I don't know. I don't know if these are upgradable stages. So like you have the Tavern 1, 2, and 3. And you can see this building here has the straw roof on it with the wattle ends, so it's obviously a lower grade building. I don't know whether it's upgradable. Now, something curious that I am still seeing in some of these pictures, and I've mentioned it in other pictures before, the ladder. We don't have ladders in the game. We have no purpose for ladders in the game. Let me rephrase that. We would have a purpose for ladders in the game because it would be really nice to have a ladder to get up on some of these roofs or something like that. Even though you can reach the roof from the ground, it just seems better if you're going to be repairing a building that you've got to get on top of it to repair the roof. But you see a ladder in this picture here, and there's been pictures when the game was released. Some of those pictures had ladders in it, and there was even a picture of a gentleman on a ladder which looked to be repairing a building. Now, I'm hoping that they do have plans to incorporate a new worker or workstation in Medieval Dynasty of somebody that can go around, and you can put a villager in that position to go around and repair your buildings. And they would repair the building according to what their level of that particular skill is. So if, let's say, if they're level 1, they would only be able to repair, say, level 1 buildings. And then let's say they get up to level 2 or 3, and then they would be able to repair, say, your wood buildings, or once they get a higher skill, they could repair the stone buildings, or they could repair or add the daub or the limestone to the different buildings for the insulation or something like that. I'm hoping that they do introduce that. It's been asked for, it's been mentioned by many players, because that's something, especially with the increased building limit, having somebody that can go around even in each of your villages. So like I'm currently in my season 4 gameplay, I have outpost villages. So I don't have one big village, but I do have my building limit set to 200%. So I'm going to have a ton of buildings by the time it's all said and done, but I'm planning on having little outposts. So me as Rasimir being the only one that can repair a building right now, that's going to kind of be an everyday task almost once I get that building limit, get to that larger building limit. So having a repairman, so to say, or a handyman, to be able to go around and repair those buildings would definitely help. That way the game can still be fun and entertaining without being a job, so to say, repairing buildings. But anyway, that I saw that ladder that brought up that idea for me. Now I'm seeing barrels in here again. We can't make barrels in the game, but I think barrels would be a nice addition to have for, say, additional storage. So maybe you could increase the storage of some of the buildings by adding a barrel to it. Now, I know the houses and the storages inside the houses don't get used, and I wish they would. So that being said, early on when the game was first released last year, there were the storage buildings actually had a worker that you could assign to the storage buildings, and they later removed that position. I wish they would bring that back for the food storage. I wish they would put a worker in the food storage who would then deliver food to the different houses, because you have a food, a daily food requirement. That's what I was trying to think of. So you have a daily food requirement in the game already. And I wish that they would put a person back in the food storage who could then divvy out the food for the day in the storages of the homes of the people. That way that storage box inside the house is being utilized, because right now it's not being utilized unless you as Rasimir go and put something in it. And you wouldn't necessarily have to worry about rot. But then that brings up another point. If you had somebody that was in the food storage as a food storage worker or a food distributor or whatever you wanted to call it, then if food did rot in the people's homes, they would then also collect the rot and put it back in the food storage for it to be turned into fertilizer later, because your rot has to be placed in the food storage in order for your barn workers to turn that rot into fertilizer, which then is magically transferred into the resource storage as fertilizer. So just a couple of little ideas that I'm not sure if they're working on or not, but I hope that they do introduce something like that. I would like to see the handyman. I would like to see a food storage worker back in the game as well, because I think that would really be a nice addition. Now, the food storage worker doesn't necessarily help Rasimir in any way, because the people can obviously get food from the food storage as they need it. But if you put a food storage worker in the food storage, then you could add a requirement for food to be in the people's homes in order for them to eat. So if they needed food, you could see them traveling back to their home to get their food, eat their meal, and go back to work, like lunchtime. You know, because you don't ever see anybody go in the food storage to grab anything. It just, they magically get their food from the food storage. There's no action on the NPC to go and eat. So they get up in the morning, they stand outside their house for a period of time, and they go off to their workstation. They're at their workstation all day long until it's quitting time. You don't ever see them go eat. Now, granted, you see them in the evening time sit down in the tavern, or if you have stools or something around campfire, you'll see that. But again, you don't ever see them go to the food storage and get food. But yet, magically food disappears from the food storage, and magically food appears in the food storage. So having a food storage worker, I think, would be a really nice addition to the game, because not only can they deliver food to the houses, they can also gather food from the hunters. So the hunters would put their food in the storage in the hunting lodge, or the gatherers would go and put the berries and the mushrooms in the storage in the hunting lodge. Then the food storage worker can go and gather those items and bring them to the food storage. Just another aspect of the game that I think would add a little more realism to it. But anyway, let's get this off the screen. Close that. Now we have this new picture of a tavern. So this looks like the same style as the Tavern 1, but it's not made out of wattle, and it doesn't have a straw roof. Now this picture, this is as big as I can make this picture. Do I have another one that I can make it? So I can't see the picture any bigger, so to say. In other words, I can't see beyond the edges of the picture. But you can see, let me bring this other one in so we can kind of zoom in a little bit. Let me make this a little bit bigger here. That way it's easier for everybody to see. So if you're looking at this, you can kind of see the palisades up behind the trees. This picture is clearly in Gustovia. This is where the tavern is in Gustovia, because the seating is all the same. The fence is the same. There's this little bitty storage unit, which we do not have this building in the game. But yet you can find this building in some of the already generated towns. So like Gustovia, there's a little storage building. It even has a chest inside it, that you can open and steal things from, I guess, if there's stuff in there to steal. But this looks to be a different style tavern. Now, I'm hoping that this is a Tavern 3 style building because of the roof, because it looks like the wooden tile roof, and then obviously you have the log sides, but you can also see that you have, we're zooming in here, you can also see that you got the press and the alcohol barrel and stuff in there, but the bench, the counter that the tavern lady stands at is facing a different direction. But you only see this small cooking stove right here. You can see the pot with the cooking stove, but you don't see the bread cooker behind it. I don't see the bread cooker at all in this picture. Or the oven, I guess it would be called the oven. So not unless it's, I mean, obviously it could be hidden behind something, but usually it's a big thing with a chimney on it and stuff, and I don't see that. But I like this open design, because I really do like the open design of the Tavern 1, but as you get later in the game, you have to repair the Tavern 1 a lot more because it's made out of wattle and straw. So that's going to be a really cool addition to the game, as long as we can build it. I hope this isn't just a new building that gets put in a generated village. I hope it's a building that we can actually build ourselves for our own village. Something else that would be kind of neat and make sense is if these buildings had a food storage that would go along with them, which again could go along with the food storage worker as well. So the main food storage that you normally build, the food storages 1 and 2 and all that, This would be an addition to this building. So maybe something that you could add to it later and increase the storage that is in the tavern of meals and things like that. And then the food storage worker could go and supply food to this building that you tell it to. So if you're having meals made in the tavern, but you only want, let's say you only want the meat and onion for the meat and gravy, and that's all that goes into that storage, then your food storage worker would deliver those foods to this building, who then the tavern person could gather from this building to cook in the tavern. Just snowballing here. These items, those things are not being added to the game right now. These are just ideas that I've got and I've shared in the past with different videos and things like that. But it does look like we're getting a new building. I hope that we are going to be able to build this building, because I do love the style of this building. I like the openness. I like being able to see the villagers from the outside of the building and doing whatever activities that they're doing. That's why I also bring up in some other videos as well about different workstations not having any NPC activity in it. Like your excavation shed. It's a building. That's it. There's not actually a workstation in the building, because they're out either gathering clay or limestone or stone. The woodshed. The woodshed actually has a workstation in it, but there's no NPC activity at the woodshed. I would love to see an NPC at the woodshed making planks, because that is a workstation activity. Now, granted, you do go out and you can see your woodcutters actually chopping wood, but you don't ever see anybody picking up sticks, and you don't see anybody making firewood. You don't see anybody making planks. I'm hoping that they start adding those little features into the game, because I think it would bring so much more to the game. Being able to see those workers actually doing the work, because you can go through the Steam forums and everything, and you can see post after post after post to where their workers are standing there not doing anything. Now, the worker itself is actually still producing whatever it is that they're supposed to be producing. There's not an activity, there's not a visual activity happening. They're just standing there. And I would love to see that the devs start adding these visual activities for the NPCs at their workstations, like you see in the sewing hut. So the sewing hut has visual activities. So you can see the person sitting on the spinning wheel, spinning the thread. You can see them standing at the loom, working the loom. Now, granted, everybody's probably seen the ghost loom, to where the loom is working, but there's nobody there. Which the loom works harder than some of the NPCs sometimes. But anyway, and that looks to be all the pictures that they've got for us. Let's see, is there another picture? Nope, that is it. So we've got the new buildings that are supposed to be coming. So this looks to be a tavern building. This, I'm not sure if this is going to be just this, because it almost looks like it's deeper than it is, but it could be just an optical illusion to me. It may be, what is that, 2 walls deep? Okay, so yeah, this front portion is open, and then the back portion is the cooking area. It's just I guess the roofing kind of gives it that illusion that it's deeper than it really is. Now, I don't know if this building is, obviously it looks like it's a standalone building, but I don't know if it's for like the tavern, or if this is going to be an addition to a house, or is this going to be the new Tavern 1? Maybe that's what they're going to do. Maybe this is going to be the new Tavern 1. This is going to be maybe the Tavern 2. Maybe they're doing that. Maybe they're changing what the Tavern 1, 2, and 3 look like. Because 3 is completely enclosed. For sure. Tavern 1 was open. Tavern 2 was completely enclosed. Tavern 3 was completely enclosed, but they were almost the same identical footprint. So maybe they're actually changing. Maybe this is going to be Tavern 1 with no seating. And then maybe this is going to be Tavern 2, and then Tavern 3 may stay the same. I don't know. But I guess we'll have to wait and see September 23rd. Anyway, folks, if you have anything else to add to these updates, any new insight that you have or anything like that, please feel free to leave those comments below. Let me know your thoughts on what's coming to the game, what has been changed, what needs to be changed, what you feel may need to be updated or looked into as far as improving the game. Because that's what the devs want to know. They want to know what they can do to help improve the game so you enjoy it more. Because if you're enjoying it more, other people are going to enjoy it more, which also means that they're going to make a better profit because they're making a game to make profit. But in turn, they're trying to entertain us with something that we like to play. But anyway, folks, I appreciate you guys joining me for this update news, and make sure to go and check out my links in the description below. We've got Twitter, Facebook, we've got Buy Me a Coffee, my Discord. You can see my playlists. All of that is in the description below. But anyway, you folks take care and happy hunting.